press conference, man. First thing that I jumps off the screen to me before we even get to what we really want to dive into of some of this receiver talk is sounds like Tuitt is interested in returning. How we feel about that? It sounds like that. It definitely seems like I don't know how far we lean in with this right now, man.
I don't think that much because it feels like there were some other caveats said where he's just like, we're just gonna wait it out. We got to see where Tuitt is fully just yet. I mean, the door's always open, so there were some caveats with it.
Yeah.
Some buffers, I guess you could say, where I'm still not holding out that much hope because we still haven't even heard from Tuitt.
I know, but I just feel like with Kevin Colbert at least
it's a more
that,
positive than some of the other comments in the past. I'll put it to you that way.
Right. Because beforehand we just had no clue. We didn't know if he still wanted to play, if he wanted to stay in Pittsburgh, anything. And with that, when we're talking about free agency, when we're talking about staying relevant, when we're talking about building up the best roster that we can have, he is a big piece of that. And if he's not a part of it, well, then trying to replace him and using those financials in the best way possible, he would still be a big part of that situation. So for me, I definitely got excited. I'm like, okay, at least it was some type of something said, right? It's because up until now, we've been in the dark. It's been the whole guessing game of, are they talking? Are they not talking? Oh, it was a report they said something a couple weeks ago, but we still don't know where they're at right now. I just feel like the more they're talking, the more we can keep having the Kevin Colbert and Tuitt dialogue, or at least keep having Tuitt's name coming up. I think that does give us a little bit more clarity because we understand this situation is still just crazy, right? There is no time limit on when you grieve or how long you can grieve. We know this. So there isn't a guarantee that, he's over, the loss of his brother. There is no guarantee that he even has that desire just yet. But does that mean you close the door on him? Well, typically no, but in this business model that the NFL is, it just makes it feel a little bit more, it's more urgency involved with it. It's a lot more minutia than just respect their feelings and give them time. This makes it unique, and
especially
that's the unfortunate
cap
part. Yeah, that's the unfortunate part. But at the same time, the Steelers, they have to run a team. They have to, put their best roster out there, and him being out there or not is critical to this team's success.
Yeah. And one of the other comments I thought was interesting is that he talked about Tuitt in last year and said Tuitt actually wanted to play. So this is the weird back and forth with this Tuitt situation. Okay, he wanted to play. Was it the injury? Was it he wanted to play but just still felt like he couldn't?
Right.
Like his inner being was just like, I can't get out there. I want to be out there with my brothers, but that's still in the back of my mind what happened with his brother. So I don't know what it was. And at least Kevin Colbert said he wants to still play, but I'm still not that confident just because he was saying like we're still in dialogue. You know what I mean? All those buffers that I taught. We're still in dialogue. We'll leave the door open for him. Ultimately, it's still on him and like how he feels, but it's it is on him, and we're gonna leave the door open for him. So I don't know how to feel. We need a decision though within the next 2 weeks. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, because free agency is literally about to start, and
we cannot be waiting around for free agency to start. We can't. This is big. That contract is Stephon Gilmore essentially.
No, absolutely it is, or it's even low end JC Jackson potentially. Like that's just the nature of it when you're talking about the amount of dollars that allocated to him. And it makes you have to really sit here and talk about it and really have that uncomfortable conversation because we know it's a lot going on with this. We know it wasn't just an injury. It was multifaceted in terms of what he was dealing with. But that is, like I said, the nature of the NFL. Business matters. Money matters. And when you have a robust contract where it's expectations, and for whatever reason, you haven't been able to give that to them, now you have to have these conversations of, okay, man, can we count on him coming back next year? That's what we're kind of stuck with right now, man.
Yeah, at least this was a little bit of a positive in the right direction.
Yeah, man. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. But shoot, man.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was saying, you go ahead. What you about to say?
No, I was just trying to think. Like, we do want him back, right?
Yeah, I personally do because
I'm just thinking in terms of
he's a really
like
good player, man.
Right. we should want him
Mm.
back. I'm just thinking about the cap hit though, and what
Yeah.
that number could equal in free agency. But if Tuitt plays up to his potential and what he was
Right. We're
playing,
not worried about that.
he's worth
Yeah.
it, 100%.
Absolutely.
Because he low key had what 11 sacks in 2020.
Absolutely. That was his best season, right? He had finally put it together. He was finally consistent from start to finish. Whereas we said in years past, it was like he would have, 3 games where he was dominant and then he would kind of disappear a little bit. But yeah, I thought that year prior to him getting the situation happening this or past off season, I thought that he was definitely taking steps in the right direction and was ultimately going to tap into that Pro Bowl eventually. Like that's what it was seeming like. But it's just unfortunate that last year really derailed everything. And then when you multiply that or combine that with the contract element, it makes it real messy at times, man.
Yeah, and from what I was reading, only 1 year left on the deal too.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
you compare that to some of the other free agents that we'd be paying
Right.
that money, we'd probably be doing multi-year deals. So
Yeah.
I guess that's what makes Tuitt's situation a little bit more appealing, just
Yeah.
for us with him coming back this
Yeah.
year.
You can do an extension or something like that, and that can, help out with the cap hit in a sense or just whatever. But
Or
yeah,
just wait and see.
just wait and
Because
see.
then
But
if
you got
Tuitt
some
doesn't
options,
perform,
yeah.
then it's like you just move your separate directions after the season. Then.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's like you said, you got some options, but the biggest thing is you got to have a decision, right? But I think we will know in 2 weeks, right? If we haven't heard a yes or no hard stance, but we don't see the team be aggressive in terms of acquiring a D lineman in free agency, well, maybe that's going to be
Oh,
a
so you don't think
strong
we're going to
indicator.
find out before free agency? You
I
think
mean,
there's a chance that happens?
I want us to find out. All I'm saying is this: I don't know if we will publicly find out before free agency. But if the team already knows, hey, Tuitt's going to be back, we will be able to tell by their actions. That's what I'm saying. Because if we know Tuitt's not here, or they think that Tuitt's not going to be available, what are they going to do? They're going to make some type of move with him roster-wise, or we're going to see them go out and spend a little bit more on an interior D lineman earlier in free agency to get a higher end talent. If we don't see them spend that money in free agency on a higher end D line talent, then to me, that's an indication that they are still believing that Tuitt will be back this season. That's kind of how I'm reading into it, because I don't see a scenario where you just put all your eggs in the draft basket to replace Tuitt. Now they could, but once again, if they're not taking a D lineman of Tuitt's caliber in the first, second round, then that's that's kind of where I'm like, I don't know, I think he's gonna be back then. But if we see them actually go out there and acquire his replacement, whether we're talking free agency or early in the draft, I think that's a strong indication that, hey, he's not going to be coming back. That's just kind of how I'm looking at it, because they're not really going to give us, I don't know if they're going to give us that hard yes or no just yet. And Tuitt hasn't seemed like he wants to publicly say yes or no just yet either.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like there's a rush for it, even
Right.
though, in my opinion, there should be. The disaster scenario is we don't address the D line
Right.
in free agency or in the first 2 or 3 rounds in the draft, and then Tuitt ends up retiring.
Yeah.
I don't actually. That's the worst, because if Tuitt is it the because then we miss out on the
Yeah.
potential
Miss out on a
free
lot, man.
agency window from a month or two prior,
Yeah.
and then because we get some cap space, I would assume, if he retires. But I was gonna say if he wants to be traded, that doesn't kill us, but at the
Right.
same time, we're not able to use that draft pick on this year's draft
Very
because
true.
it's past the window. So that's
Yeah.
that's the worst case scenario right there, I
Yeah.
think.